DDT Wrestling. As you can see, we have the Barnes clan here. We're going to get into predictions of Money in the Bank, and we're going to have our typical topic of discussion. But I think we got to address these background photos. We don't talk about this. We just kind of go with what we're feeling. Right now, this man is moving up to one of my favorite wrestlers on a TV. Like I anticipate what he's going to do and say next. So I'm definitely there. What about you two?
Oh yeah. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the transition from how they made him the stoic mute to
Right.
now him being a just comedic genius, honestly. Very
Comedic
entertaining.
genius.
So yeah. And then of course the Lagoat.
The goat.
A goat.
LA Knight. My goat right now.
Okay.
He will be winning the Money in the Bank and he
Da,
will
da,
get
da.
that
Prediction.
gold.
Hold off your
Um,
hold off your prediction.
and I just have to support him, you know?
Spoiler.
He is the goat.
Well, with
That's all.
that, with our special episode of predictions, let's get into it. Let's get into Money in the Bank.
Alrighty. So, the way I'm going to have this broken out is my prediction as to how they are going to order the matches. So I think they're going to start off with the women's Money in the Bank, starting it hot, just so people are like, all right, let me pay attention. I need to get there. I need to get in my seat. So in this women's Money in the Bank ladder match, we have Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Stephanie Vaquer. A lot of heavy hitters in this match. And a lot of the conversations that we've been having these past few weeks is that the NXT roster is probably going to be in this Money in the Bank. And for basically most of the women here, yeah, that holds true. I think that this match is going to be very exciting. There's a lot of situations where it's like I don't know who could win. Like I don't know who could win, and if multiple people end up getting the Money in the Bank, I wouldn't be upset. Like usually back in the day, it was like he's the star, she's the star, they're gonna get it. I don't want anybody else to get it. But now we're kind of stuck in a situation where honestly, any one of those women could get it, and I would be completely happy. But the way that I would love for this to play out is that we get a heel Money in the Bank winner because it's always more fun with a heel. The faces are a little bit too gentlemanly, gentlewomanly, and I'm like, I don't need them to be nice. Heel Money in the Bank winner. The true heel in this is Naomi, and I think it would be amazing for her to hold that Money in the Bank along with this new persona that she's got going on. What do you guys think?
For me, the only winner that would probably upset me is Rhea Ripley.
Ooh,
Rhea Ripley is a walking Money in the Bank briefcase.
yeah.
She can just go up there and just declare that she wants a title shot and she gets it. I agree, totally agree with the idea of a heel having the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's why I think the Tiffany Stratton was kind of off because she was trying to be a face
hmm
with her faction with Nia Jax and then will she or won't he? But that was actually pretty good. But her face thing just what didn't work for me. I'll do this in a form of who should win and who I think will win.
hmm
Who should win is by far, like you said, Naomi. This has been a new career for her, this heel persona. I've never seen her with this level of personality, minus the whole glow stuff, but she should win. I have a feeling that they may want to strap the rocket to Stephanie Vaquer and have her come down with that briefcase. I don't want that to happen yet because I think it just makes sense story wise. It even ties into the Jade and Jade, like she has the briefcase and Jade wouldn't want her to be happy with it. So, if it ties into storyline. So, who should win? Naomi, who I think will win, Stephanie Vaquer.
Mm. I definitely agree with both of you on who I want and who should be Naomi. We were talking about this before about how nobody in the women's match really has like feuds with each other. There's not really any like, everyone's just fighting to fight. There's no like beef really that's
Right.
like happened before. And so I feel like it makes the most sense to kind of start beef here. And I feel like doing like strapping it on a heel would make the most sense. Um Well, I do think like Stephanie Vaquer is definitely getting like a lot of just push right now. Like, she literally just left NXT and is already in the Money in the Bank. Same in like this whole match. We have Stephanie Vaquer, we have Roxanne Perez, and we have Julia, who are all newcomers. And so I could see them putting it on like a newcomer, like, Roxanne right now is with Judgment Day, and like I could understand maybe they want her to have a start too, to kind of push that story more. But I feel like when the match is over, what makes the most sense for the future? And I feel like Naomi does because she already has like the story ready, she's already the crazy wild heel. Who's she gonna cash in on? It's like it makes them scared. So I just feel like if it's on Stephanie Vaquer and she's a face right now, I mean, yeah, she's a face. I don't know. I feel like she's already popular in her own right. Does she need this right now?
Hmm.
I don't know. So that's what I think.
I don't think so. And what you said, I think Roxanne Perez works because you think the three true hills in that match, Julia, Stephanie, I'm sorry, Julia, Roxanne, and Naomi.
Naomi.
Julia, I think they're gonna have her in that Intercontinental title mix or U.S. title mix. I'm sorry, with the saying her by her government name, Zelita Vega. Um, I think they're gonna have her there, and I don't think they're ready to strap that rocket on. I think she's
Mm,
still trying to find her footing um, on a main roster. But I like the Roxanne Perez thing as well because I think that you can have Liv Morgan looking at her side eye now, and
Hmm.
so you have that dynamic. But I think by far the story is Naomi winning that. So
100%.
mhm.
I think for the next match, they'll kind of have like a little break from Money in the Bank, and they'll do the Intercontinental Championship with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. They often like to kind of break it up just so people are like, oh, this is when I can use the bathroom. Not to say that this is a use the bathroom kind of match, but I think that this will just, kind of break up between this one and the men's Money in the Bank. I think this will make for a great match because they've had two matches before and they have great ring chemistry. I am not confident that Lyra Valkyria will win. Um, I don't know. Like they said, the like basically the outcome of this is that Becky Lynch can never challenge her for the Intercontinental title again, or if Becky Lynch wins, then she has to raise Becky Lynch's arm and like basically like honor Becky Lynch, like oh you're the greatest, you made my career kind of thing. I like to think that they will be like what, final nail in the coffin, Lyra, you win, you beat your idol, we will end this, you were the one on top. Because if Becky Lynch wins, I feel like they can definitely open the door again to have Lyra then be like, oh, I need to build up to like beat her. Um, I think I don't know, like I feel like they can move on with this. I mean, this wasn't a bad storyline, but I think it's time for them to move on. I don't think there's a need for them to like have any gimmick matches or anything like that. So I think Lyra winning for the third time against Becky. You don't need any more matches after that. But if they see value in continuing this feud, then Becky. But I think that Valkyria will win.
wow. Um, so there's a thing in wrestling where they say the title shouldn't make the person should make the title.
Mm-hmm.
Where Valkyria is good, they have good ring chemistry. There's just something still
Yeah.
there. I think this Becky Lynch has been able to actually add some energy to with this feud to her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think putting the Intercontinental title on Becky Lynch gets more heat on that title because it's Becky Lynch. I think because it's the third match, like you mentioned, I think this time Becky pulls something off and she wins this time. Um, and then you can maybe get some other face women wrestlers
Mm-hmm.
to go against her. I think Becky Lynch brings out everybody.
That's true.
Mm,
That's like her greatness. People want to call her Becky Hogan.
mm,
Everybody that's in a feud with her comes out better.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Like they don't like diminish or disappear. She elevates everybody, and whether she's going over or not. And I think it actually has happened, um, other than the stupid crowd that was giving her the what treatment. Um, Like I think it has really helped Valkyria step up her game. But I think that title should go to Becky Lynch, and I think it will. I don't think they're gonna have her beat her 3 times. I think she's gonna come out on top with that. She's gonna hold it for a lengthy period of time, and then Jordan Grace.
She's
Mm.
ready. She's ready.
He's I think there's the rumors are that she's gonna be coming over to the main roster.
She's ready.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the SummerSlam match, maybe.
Ooh.
But
Ooh.
yeah, my prediction is Becky Lynch to take to be and new.
And
I knew. I think you guys make a good case for both. I think when it comes to like my idol and like the predecessor kind of matches, it does go in circles a lot of the time, I feel like. Because it's like, oh my gosh, you were my idol for so long. Oh, but I don't care. You're still like, I'm still gonna fight you. Oh, I beat my idol. No, I have to win my honor back. No, my idol beat me. I have to build myself up to win against them. And it does keep going and going and going. And
Mhm.
so I do think that this will be the last match between them. I think my prediction is that Becky's gonna win and her hand will be raised and that they'll get their honor back or whatever. They'll respect each other, maybe who even knows. But I think Becky will win this, and I think that it will finally put the nail in the coffin for this story.
All right, now the men's Money in the Bank match. So we have Seth Rollins, we have Solo Sikoa, we have La Goat, LA Knight, we have Andrade, we have Penta, and we have El Grande Americano. Does the men's one have more, or does it just like feel like that?
I
I
think
don't
it's
know
6. It
why.
feels like it. It's 6.
Oh yeah, it is 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this one, unlike the women's match where I made the point that any one of them could win and I wouldn't necessarily be like shocked out of this world, surprised, upset, there are 2 people in particular in this match that most of you can probably point out that I would be absolutely floored if they have them win this match, and that is Andrade and El Grande Americano. This is not to say that they're not great. This is not to say that they don't add great spots in matches like this. But based on where, storylines are going and who they are kind of, building up, I do not foresee either one of those 2 walking away with the briefcase. I don't think that it would make really much sense. And one of the points that we were making is that the person with the briefcase has some kind of embedded storyline. That way they can build up off of that. Circa Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, our point with Naomi and her situation with Jade and Bianca. What are we doing with Andrade and El Grande Americano? There's no like point in them having that. WWE likes to surprise us, but I don't think those 2 would be the surprises or the dark horses in this match. I think a lot of people, based on the way WWE has been doing booking and storytelling, they're like, Seth Rollins is going to take everything and own everything, and he's the messiah of wrestling, and he's, that's the way that they want us to think, obviously. But easy dark horses in this, easy kind of, monkey wrenches in this is Solo Sikoa or Lagoat. And I think both of them would make for a great, great cinematic experience, regardless of if it's either one of them, because of the fact that we know that Jey Uso is the World Heavyweight Champion, Solo Sikoa's brother, and LA Knight has amazing crowd pop music, and I mean, it's been his time for a very long time. Now, who do I think will win this match? It's a toss up. It really is a toss up. What does WWE see the most value in? Does WWE see the most value in a brother cashing in on his brother? Does WWE see the most value in Seth Rollins becoming the WWE Messiah? Does WWE see the most value in LA Knight finally getting his time? Because those are the 3 that I think are the most likely. Penta is more likely than Andrade and El Grande Americano, but definitely not likely in comparison to those 3. But then we also have the situation of, CM Punk and, obviously every time Seth Rollins picks up the mic, CM Punk is going to get crowd chants. He can't help it. That's his kryptonite. So there are so many factors in this that could ruin Seth Rollins' opportunity of getting this Money in the Bank. But for me personally, I want Solo Sikoa to win this match. Wow. Who do I think will win this match? I think even though we know the WWE rules of if they end up on top and they make them look too strong, it's a hoax. They're not going to win. They've been doing that with Seth Rollins, but I think that they're just going to go with it. They're going to think, you guys think that we're double bluffing or that we're bluffing, but we're actually double bluffing. I think Seth Rollins is going to win the Money in the Bank and become the WWE Messiah. What do you guys think?
Where does Penta fall in your doesn't have a chance, has a chance?
So if somebody said that it won't be Solo, it won't be LA Knight, it won't be Seth Rollins, it's between Andrade, Penta, and El Grande Americano, then I'll be like, okay, Penta will win this match. Like if a fortune teller said, or a future teller was like, it won't be those three, it's between these three, that's when I think Penta will win. But for now, Penta's there for the hot spots, maybe, El Grande Americano and him have kind of like a back and forth, considering, he's been disrespecting Lucha Libres. But yeah, I am not foreseeing. And also in this match, they can have interferences. So there can be people that come in to ruin the day of El Grande Americano and Penta. Because El Grande Americano, well, Chad Gable, El Grande Americano. If it's him, he's facing off in World Collide. So I'm like, you never know. Like, he has ops everywhere if they're the same person. But yeah, I think Penta's that middle, right in that middle, above those other two.
I agree. I will say, Chad Gable, if he is El Grande Americano, deserves to be in this match.
100%.
That dude has been the guy to put over people. He's people's first match back.
Yeah.
He is the man.
Yeah.
He's deserved this since he had his feud with Gunther.
Agreed.
And he has been the man that's been holding this down. So I'm glad he's in this match.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about who we wanted to see in this match. Chad Gable definitely deserves one of those spots.
True.
If that is Chad Gable.
Yeah.
I'll do the same thing that I did for the women's match, who should win and who I think will win. I'll start with should win. I think this person has been very stale because they've had him in the the Twilight Zone or the metaverse of the bloodline for a year or so, forever. You gotta change something up with LA Knight. The pop from the crowd will be
might be reversed.
Massive.
Yeah.
It'll him walking around with the briefcase will be pretty big. And of course, the pop when he cashes in the briefcase. LA Knight should win this match. Will he win this match? Yes, he should and will win this match. I don't think there's going to be a double switcheroo. I think they're going to be obvious with this. They played their hand having Seth Rollins dominate on Raw. He stomped everybody. We had 50 tsunamis. We've had 30 million spears to everybody. I think shenanigans are going to stop Seth from winning. Punk may come out. Roman may come out. And maybe the tribal chief comes out. Maybe.
Whoa.
I think that I think it's time. I think it's time they just said, all right, let's just do this with LA Knight. He's over. It's the time. Like, I get it. Seth Rollins, I'm thinking about how that promo works with Seth Rollins saying that he is the future and he's going to change and he has the briefcase. The threat of him with the briefcase, that is good TV.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good TV, but I think he can go a different way. I think they can have him win that tournament in Saudi Arabia, the King of the Ring, and he gets his match at SummerSlam. And when he wins, LA Knight. But that's it. Should, will, LA Knight.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, we see who is behind me right now. But before I get into why I think he's going to win, I just want to talk about these qualifying matches really quick, because there was 2 times where I fell to my knees after these matches were done. and just gobsmacked, surprised that this is the direction that they were going. The first one is when Andrade won over Carmelo Hayes. We were so sure that, Carmelo was going to win the qualifying match. And initially I thought he was going to be the one with the briefcase. I think it would, make sense. He was with the Miz and everything, and him walking around, him being him. But obviously that didn't work out. And so whatever they have for him, they have. But I need Carmelo Hayes into something. The second time I fell to my knees is when El Grande Americano won over CM Punk. I was so sure that CM Punk was going to be in that match because of Seth Rollins. I thought he was going to be the bomb, and it was just going to be for sure. Like, if CM Punk was in that match, there was no way for Seth to win. And even like the whole time, the whole episode, people were just saying to Punk, you need to win. Like, you need to be the one to win. Like, you can't let Seth do whatever to the company or whatever. So yes, I do think he's gonna have shenanigans in the match, but I originally thought we were gonna have that face off on Saturday. But, we didn't. So I was definitely shocked. And so we were talking about it, Seth going to everyone and, him and his Goonies beating everyone down. I just think they're doing too much. They're trying to prove themselves too much, and I think it's going to blow up in their face, and I don't think Seth is going to win Money in the Bank because they have too many ops now. You go and beat everybody down, and then they're going to want to get their lick back. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
The bloodline.
And so, yeah, exactly. I think
It's gonna be like
we're
the Avengers
definitely going to
coming
see
against Thanos.
Yeah,
Everybody's showing up through a portal.
Literally, they're coming to Wakanda right now. You just had your negotiation with them, and Bombay, like everyone's coming to fight now. And so I do think, yes, CM Punk's gonna come out and they're gonna have that face off, and it's gonna get to Seth's head. Do I think we'll see our tribal chief? They talked about him too much on Friday. They talked about him too much for him not to be there. But if he's not, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just think I don't know, wrestling logic. You call somebody's name out, they're gonna come out. You're gonna hear the music, and so I feel like we are gonna get shenanigans, and inevitably, I think it will be going to La Goat because, like we were saying, he definitely deserves it. He's done his time, and he wants out. And I think him walking around with that briefcase, eventually having that gold, is written. It's written, and that's a fact of life. With everybody saying L.A. Knight.
Yeah. I guess I will say, like, and there's two factors that come into play, and we're going to predict the main event, I guess, next. But the determination, so I predicted LA Knight. I don't think there'll be a cash in if LA Knight wins. But if Seth does win, if they stick to their guns, he's been dominant on every show, he wins the Money in the Bank, I can see, and I'll wait for our predictions.
Mm-hmm. I just think, let's
get there.
Yeah.
And the final match, the main event, John Cena, never seen 17, versus Logan Paul, versus Cody Rhodes, and main event, Jey Uso. Now, this
boo,
no heat is crazy. But this match was very exciting because they booked it when Cody Rhodes returned. They made for a very exciting moment. Now, they've been going back and forth with their promos, they're going to ruin wrestling. No, we're going to save wrestling. We're the heroes, etc. Cody Rhodes literally did an on your left moment. Like, I'm here to save wrestling. I'm here to be the Captain America. What I will say is that I think what WWE is going to do is they're going to have fans expect shenanigans, like a lot of shenanigans to happen in the men's Money in the Bank, and they'll make up for it in this match. Like, this match is where we need to keep our eyes peeled for anything that did not happen in the Money in the Bank that we expected. It'll happen here. Now, it's hard to predict who I will think will win this because of the potential amount of shenanigans that could happen. John Cena and Logan Paul ended up on top on SmackDown, to which Logan Paul held up Jey Uso's title. Usually that means that you ain't gonna win. When you touch somebody else's title, you ain't gonna win. You don't do that if you're gonna win the title. So they could do it where, the good guys come out on top and save the day, but because of the fact that we have two title holders in that match, it makes for a very exciting experience because those Money in the Bank matches should obviously be happening beforehand. Now, if LA Knight wins, I don't think that he will cash in because there's not really somebody who could come out to kind of ruin that. I think they want to savor that. I think they want to bask in the moment, of him having that briefcase because he's one of those tweener faces that it's exciting for him to have it. He would be entertaining. It's not like a one-off, one and done, let's hurry this up. And I also don't think that there's like one individual person that would like have it out for LA Knight that could like ruin it. Kind of like Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. We knew CM Punk was going to ruin it for Drew McIntyre on the night. We knew that was going to happen. But for this one, I think they can really take the opportunity to let LA Knight hold on to it for a little bit. You don't have to do the immediate cash in. Now, the guy who I want to win, Solo Sikoa, there's some family ties in this match. It would make for a very cinematic experience if he decides to cash in on his brother. Now, if the Monday Night Messiah wins, he has all the ops. Everybody doesn't like him because of the situation that he's in right now. He has CM Punk. He has a potential OTC. They're not going to want him to get the gold because of what he did to them. He stole their wise man, he stole their most, who some people might say is more valuable than a title. So there's no way that they're going to want to not get revenge on him. But we're going to see all four men laid out, sprawled out on the ground, and we're going to hear somebody's music. That somebody's music is going to be the person that won the Money in the Bank. And everybody's going to be like, oh, who's it going to be? Who are they going to cash it on? They might stack both of those bodies up on each other for it to be a double. I don't even know if that's allowed, but I think that they're going to try everything. Like in the Money in the Bank itself, we may or may not see, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. But I think that they're going to save like the maximized, people to like kind of ruin everything, like all of the surprises in the end. Unless if it's LA Knight, then there's not really going to be, there's not going to be any surprises in the main event. But I think for the main event, they want it to be like, ooh, oh my God, this is how we go off air. So that's where my head's at. What about you guys?
So you may have made me change who I think will win because of the shenanigan factor.
Mm-hmm.
They could be saving that for the main event. Both guys knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if a heel wins the briefcase, Solo or Seth, yes, you could definitely hear the music come out. They come down, and Jay is the one that would be cashed in on. They wouldn't be cashing in on Cena. Jay would be the one that they would be cashing in on.
No Cena.
And then you can see shenanigans. You could see Punk. You could see the Tribal Chief come out. And that would definitely further that storyline where I think it's going. But I don't know if that happens, then I don't think there's going to be a winner of this match. I think it just ends in like a schmoz, like nothing. That means maybe there was maybe not a successful cash in, meaning that Seth didn't actually get the cash it in yet.
Yeah.
He was going to do it, and then someone's, how the world stops when someone else's theme music comes on.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do nothing. You can't continue to beat on a person.
Yeah.
You have to you have to sell it like you got super kick. But I mean, yeah, you made a point about the heels being dominant at the end of SmackDown, but I don't think it helps for Cena to lose this match. He's ruining wrestling. I think he has to win this.
He has to win.
Like, they got to build his momentum until he finally takes the loss. So I think this ends in shenanigans and there's no pinfall. But that is now making me change my Money in the Bank winner. Who should win is LA Knight. Who will win? Seth freaking Rollins.
No!
Seth freaking Rollins, and then we're gonna have shenanigans in the main event. I hope I'm wrong, but just think about Monday Night Raws or SmackDowns.
The
He could
Raw.
tease both shows, both champions, if he wants. With that briefcase, Paul Heyman
That's
carrying
serious.
that briefcase for him and his heel. That's some good TV. It's
Great
also
TV.
good TV with Solo Sikoa. I mean, that absolutely elevates him.
Yeah.
And he's holding that briefcase.
100%.
I mean, LA Knight is already a top guy. That just puts him right over the top. Is he's gonna get that cash in.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see him cash in on Cena. But I just don't see it now. I think I'm going back. This main event ends in nothing. The winner of the Money in the Bank will be Seth freaking Rollins.
Ooh.
I
I
hate
can't.
myself.
I can't believe you were turned on like goat like this. You have to go all in.
That was my heel turn.
On my
All in.
Okay. There's a lot with this.
There's a lot.
With these two matches because there's so many timelines in alternate universes they could go to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a timeline where shenanigans happen in the Money in the Bank and Seth gets it, right? And so he has all his goonies and Seth wins. Same night he cashes in on them. There's a timeline where he cashes in on Jay and he wins. The timeline where he doesn't cash in. It's a failed because there's so many shenanigans. The timeline where he tries to cash in, he does get it, but he doesn't win, and it's like totally failed. And then the timeline of Solo. Like I said, Goonies happen. You know, you have all his Goonies. Does Fatu help him in the end? Who knows? Because there's that timeline where Fatu does help him. And so there's so many layers to this match. I don't think Solo is going to be the one to win and cash in because he has already so much stuff with Jacob Fatu.
Right.
And there's so much inner turmoil. He has to deal with his family first.
Yeah.
All about family.
All about family.
You have to deal with that because I think in the match, Fatu, I don't think Fatu's going to help him.
Nope.
I think JC Mateo's they're gonna be too busy arguing with each other, and I think Fatu's gonna walk out.
Nice.
And I think it's gonna be that happens, and you know, obviously he doesn't get it. Now with Seth, I think Seth right now where he's at in like this story, he could literally win against I think a lot of people. We're talking about Rhea Ripley being a walking Money in the Bank. I think that's the same with Seth Rollins right now, too. She can go up to anybody and challenge them. And, you know, there's a good chance that she would win. I think that's the same with Seth right now because they're building him up. He has so much riding on him. And I think the wave is still at its peak. I don't think that if he loses Money in the Bank, it's going to deter any of that motion because he has Paul Heyman. He has Goonies. He has his feud with CM Punk. He has all these ops that he created back on SmackDown where he beat up. And so I feel like because we talked about winning King in the Ring and then going to SummerSlam. I think that could be where, you know, could be the place that Jay loses his belt.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, the hole in that story is we're saying that LA Knight catches in on him. I think Seth has to have a title reign for some time. Because then I think that kind of diminishes what we were just talking about. So I think that can be the hole in the story. However, back to my previous point, he already has so much with him. Like I said, he has Paul Heyman, he has Goonies, he has all these stories. So I feel like he does still have that high. And so I feel like the best option would be LA Knight because he has nothing going on right now and he still has a great pop. I think he is kind of that face that, you know, you want to say his catchphrase with him. You'll say it regardless, right? And so I feel like if he has the Money in the Bank, I don't know, it proves it a little bit more. I think Seth Rollins, he doesn't need proof. I don't think Solo needs proof. I think LA Knight leads a little bit, maybe a sprinkle of that. So I feel like the main event, I think, is going to happen. I think LA Knight's going to win the Money in the Bank, so that's going to happen already. And then you're going to have all of these shenanigans because I think in the end, it has to be, you know, kind of going a different timeline. I think it has to be Cena and Cody in the end. So I feel like no one's cashing in on Cena. I think Jay right now, he is spreading himself a little too thin, like Gunther was saying. So I could see, like, I don't know. I feel like we're like you guys were saying, I don't think there's gonna be a winner. So I think there's gonna be too much shenanigans and it's gonna be a whole just conglomerate of mess. Because people trying to mess up, sabotage each other, and it's just gonna I think the heels are gonna come out and, probably beat them up still, and so that the faces are on the ground and they're just gonna leave. But I don't think there's gonna be a winner. So that's my 2 cents. That's my case.
You know what? I think it does work with LA Knight having that briefcase because as you were going, Seth can win that King of the Ring, beat Jay at SummerSlam, and it's LA Knight that saves us from Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has the title for like the rest of the year. And at some pay-per-view or Raw, which would be great, he cashes in on Seth and saves us. I think you're right. The story is Cody getting that title. Maybe Cena's final match is against Cody. Maybe that's what they do there. But I think it does work with that. And you can still have shenanigans in this main event without a Money in the Bank involved. So, I mean, I don't know. It's so much intertwined. A lot of these stories do kind of intertwine, but I think you can have that. You can have a world where LA Knight does win this title, Seth wins King of the Ring, and unless they do it the other way around, Seth wins Money in the Bank.
Oh,
LA Knight wins King of the Ring. I don't know, but if I had to pin, I got to do that. If I had to pin, it's that way. LA Knight, Money in the Bank. I think he cuts great promos with that briefcase. He threatens both champions or whatever. And of course, I respect, Jay, blah, blah, blah. Seth takes it from Jay. Seth takes it from Jay at SummerSlam. And LA Knight ultimately, somewhere in a year, he cashes in. And he is the world title holder. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah.
So we're all predicting no winner for this main event.
Yeah.
Shenanigans wins.
Shenanigans win.
All right, well, that's our predictions. And now we'll go into one topic we've been talking about a lot as far as how we feel about the state of WWE. It just feels different. They'll tell you how great profit is, and we see ticket prices like crazy. They were hot coming off WrestleMania 40, the hottest that I've ever seen it, storyline wise. And then, of course, that was the beginning of when TKO took over WWE when it was sold to them. And now it's kind of like they seem very business. I'll tell you that wrestling ring looks like a NASCAR with all of the labels all over it. They're all about that advertisement revenue. The commercials for Saturday Night Main Event a few weeks ago was insane. And yeah, get your money, get all you can. But at the same time, you're like, all right, let's release wrestlers because to save money. But you're bragging. Triple H is tonight. He's gonna say we had the biggest gate that we've ever had. He's gonna say that. I can guarantee it because he says it at the end of every press conference. I feel like the product definitely feels different for me for as long as I've been watching pro wrestling. It just feels different. And I'm not feeling it. And is disappointing in some ways. I'm still getting my enjoyment for it. But you can really see the corporate, aspect of things, the business aspects of things bleeding into the actual wrestling. I just want to see wrestling. I want to see good storylines. But then you see stuff like what happened with, I think on this channel, his name will not be mentioned as in Lord Voldemort. That is one, I will only say it here, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Lord Voldemort. I feel like it went downhill after that WrestleMania. It seems like he didn't get what he wanted. The man wants to be loved, and he just derailed him. with the booking of WrestleMania 41, John Cena's heel turn. It just seemed like the wheels are falling off. John Cena's heel turn has been just there.
Mm-hmm.
He's been cutting his promos and doing his thing, but it's like, what's the direction? They
Mm-hmm.
added Logan Paul to get more heat because people don't like the YouTuber that's trying to get the world title. But I feel like we're in an era of the corporation TKO
Mm-hmm.
dictating too much of what the product is.
Mm.
And there's rumors you hear about people's contracts and is Triple H going to be there? Who has influence? If Triple H isn't there, who's making the booking decisions? You know, I think you can disagree with everybody's booking decisions. We've watched pay-per-views where we're pissed. We just talked about Carmelo Hayes. You know, we just talked about that. Ava's, putting her head down. We just talked about some of these decisions that, like, for some reason, they were in a room and they said this makes sense. You can disagree with people's booking decisions, but in general, where they're going with some of the wrestlers, I can agree with. I'm fine with some things, but I still feel the corporate stuff
Mm-hmm.
on top of it, and I don't like it. I feel like um, wrestling is moving away from the regular fan.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it like the way the NFL is trying to move, where that's the way they're like treating their wrestlers, their workers.
Mm.
So I'm not too happy. I mean, I've been watching it so long, it's almost like habit to watch wrestling for me now. Like, I don't, there isn't a scenario when I'm like not thinking about like watching it. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't gotten there. There was this stretch when I was active duty Air Force where I just didn't watch it. It
Yeah.
just wasn't in my head. I think I was too into whatever it was I was doing. But then I jumped back into it. And but now, I'm watching out of habit, but it's just a bad taste with the stuff, some of the stuff in the ring and definitely the stuff outside of the ring. It's kind of where I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna grow out of watching wrestling. It's gonna be just a hobby of mine. I'm gonna try to get my future kids into it as well. And I think we just have, yeah, exactly, taking after. I think we just have the same like life because when I joined active, I like stopped watching for a period of time and then got back into it. So I think just the trauma of basic training makes you
Yeah.
forget everything you ever loved. But we and when I say we, I'm talking about me and Ava. We started watching wrestling during the PG era, where they really were trying to get in and reel in a younger audience. And to do that, you have to appeal to the wrestler. To get in the younger audience, you have to care about the fan. You have to care about the ticket prices. You have to make it, so that it is accessible to everyone. When you want to make something accessible to kids, you have to make it accessible to everyone because kids
Family,
are like
yeah.
the last thing, yeah, family. And I mean, hey, that's why my GOAT is who it is. That's why my favorite wrestler is who it is. And by no means am I going to downplay any of the negatives they have for the person who was the big honcho, head honcho of the business during the time that we were watching when we were growing up. But there is absolutely a difference in the way that they did this whole wrestling, pro wrestling, wrestling entertainment thing 10 years ago to right now. And before anybody says, well, business is business and this is how things are and this, you have to get used to it. The reason why we know that this is not how it's supposed to be is because the whole corporate is on top and, corporate this, corporate that. That was like a heel storybooking that they would do. The person that goes to corporate is always the heel. The person that, turns their back on the fans. And I mean, they're doing it right now with John Cena. I'm like, but it's funny how, for the actual wrestling and booking element of it, they want to say, yeah, this is the storyline, but in reality, they're actually doing the heel things that they are, making a story about. So it's like, I 100% am very happy that WWE is globalizing. It's a billion-dollar business, and they're going to continue to get bigger, and that's what I want. I don't want my future kids to feel embarrassed to have to say they're WWE fans because
Like
that's
me,
what most people experience.
when I
Most
grew
people
up.
exactly like a lot of fans right now that are probably 18 plus can say I didn't really grow up with friends that were into wrestling, but now because of their proximity to a lot of celebrities and Hollywood and these big businesses, it's cool to be into wrestling, because of how global wrestling is. It's cool. Like, wrestling is cool now. You can't just say the weird kids like wrestling. I mean, you can, but they're cool kids that like wrestling, maybe secretly, but they like it too. But yeah, you are starting to see that really big shift of this just corporate mindset. And I understand that, in order to better a business, you want to make the best business decisions economically. But the whole thing with pro wrestling starts with the fans and the superstars. You don't have this without those two things. And when you take elements of those things away, your business will start to dwindle. Now they're at the climax. Now they're doing great numbers. They want to continue to progress. And they're looking at the economics and the exponential increases, and I guarantee they got numbers going everywhere. But when you take away superstars that give us the nostalgic feeling, superstars that make us feel that we can just talk to them, that we can relate to, you shoot up the ticket prices where people have to either take out loans or do pay in installments for your tickets. Wrestling is no longer for the common man. It's now an exclusive event. Kind of like celebrity, like Met Gala stuff. Like, you have to be invited. You don't just get a ticket to this kind of stuff. Like, now it gets to a point where the tickets are so expensive that I'm only gonna go if I win the freaking lottery, or if I have a friend who is rich and famous and can give me a ticket. So that's the thing. It's like, I respect them for wanting to better the business, because that's what I wanted for WWE. I wanted to continue to get more popular, but the more and more they continue to shift towards this corporate mindset, the less I'm into WWE as a product. I'm into the superstars. I want to go on their own accounts, and all the other things to support them. I love that element of it, but WWE business as a whole, I'm starting to kind of dwindle out in my interest in that.
Yeah, I know when I was in active duty too, I also stopped watching wrestling. So
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
no, I feel like I really like, I definitely watched wrestling a lot with you guys when I was younger, and I think when like I'm in school, I kind of pull back a little bit and then I get back into it when I'm home. And so it's kind of like this, jumping out and then jumping back in. And every time I jump back in, like specifically now, like there were certain times where I felt like oh my gosh, like this is just as good as I remember it being when I was a kid. But there's times where I'm like, we talk about how they're catering more towards the younger audience, but then and like families, but then like, your tickets for things are thousands of dollars. And so I feel like it's almost a little bit, I don't know if hypocritical is the word, but it's like, we keep talking
Contradicting.
about, yeah, like, we keep talking about how like Triple H will always say, oh my God, we have the biggest like audience ever, and we're making the most money that we've ever had. And then they release so many people, like people from like, our childhood. And it's just like, I know I get the idea of, making like, room and negotiating, and, some people, maybe it's just the end of their time. But like someone, like every kid right now is yeeting. Like every kid you see, Jey Uso is picking up kids to yeet with him. So I get that as a part of their childhood. But like someone like, like R-Truth, we always said like, "What's up?" And he was just like that, like he was the like comedic, relief, and it's someone
Yeah.
that were kind of excited to see because you knew that he was going to be that comedy for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like having that person that like someone like that is very crucial. And so I just feel like it's very, I don't know, it's backwards to me, kind of where they're at right now, where it's like, we want to cater to kids and younger audiences, but we're taking out the person that can cater to the kids and the younger
Right. That's a
audiences.
good point.
And so I don't get it. Like, especially right now where it was like kind of at like a really peak of the whole like John Cena heel turn.
Mm-hmm.
You had his biggest fan, his childhood hero, like you had Ron Cena, like you had that whole thing, and then you just right after that match you take him out. I don't know. I feel like it's like I said, it's just very backwards where it's at right now. I just because then you want to make way for the younger wrestlers, but then you don't put Carmelo Hayes in the Money in the Bank. So
Mhm.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
They
Like,
did that with the women, but not with the men.
Yeah.
and yes, they did that with the women.
Interesting.
And it's sorry, I don't know. It's like I said, very backwards right now. But I'll continue to watch. It's how it is. I'm a sheep at heart.
That's the problem. Yeah, that we're sheep. We're gonna continue to do it. And your point about R-Truth, that's a really good point. It's kind of counter to what you're saying you want. We're a family product.
Mhm.
But this is a man that you give him anything, no matter whether the story was crap, the man always gets a pop.
Mhm.
He always gets a reaction. Whether you laugh or cringe or whatever it is you
Hmm.
do with him, it was always something. And as long as I've been watching wrestling and people getting released, and now that social media is big, I've never seen one like get like the love from the fellow wrestlers like this dude. Like we don't see that stuff. We don't know about how he is. We all, work with people or, and there's a chemistry with who you work with. Maybe somebody that's like the glue when you go into the workplace and light it up. That's an invaluable thing to have. And it's not like he wasn't a productive person. This turned into a whole R-Truth TED talk. But it wasn't like he wasn't productive because he was productive when you put him in front of the camera.
Mhm.
And clearly he was something to the people that he worked with, his
Right.
co-workers. But they just this is where the corporate bleeds into the ring
Mhm.
because they looked at him as here's a number, let's trim that number. We
Mhm.
don't care about the other stuff. That is what is what like man is wrestling outgrowing me.
Yeah.
Mm. And I just think like I don't know. It's the whole thing of not like them not mentioning him after the fact, where it's like he's done, and like most of our wrestlers too. Like we were talking about, like the Miz even, and I don't know what's going on with that. But like someone who's done so much for the company, and
Right.
then you just like release him and don't say anything, and it takes John Cena to make an offhand comment for it to to poke the bear for that to be the only way we talk about it. I just think that's the part that makes me a little like it's just very distasteful to me because it's like you talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because all right, so Braun Strowman was released too. Been with the company for a minute, did some things, but yeah, you released him. He R-Truth has been with the company for 17 years. You give him a send off.
Yes.
He gets a send off. You don't just, well, gone. Where is loyalty? I get it. Corporate America, there is no loyalty. We're all just numbers, social security numbers, and people to do the task. But it's different. It's a little different there. It's definitely different with TKO taking over. Um, I am not giving Vince McMahon any props because he is a man that got rid of people during COVID.
Mhm.
But you definitely saw a sense of old school loyalty with him.
Mhm.
So
I
yes,
just I think like and are we being a dead horse maybe a little bit, but
yeah, we
like
are.
I think it's the juxtaposition between like someone like John Cena obviously did so much for the company. That is I'm not, gonna compare, but he's having a whole year as his last year. He has shirts released in every single city he's in. Every single one. For his last this is the last time is now. And then you have someone like R-Truth who gets released after a match that we didn't even know he was going to get released after. I just think that juxtaposition is so great that it's just like you kind of you have to do something when you're
17
sending.
years.
You have a whole year, you're sending somebody off, and then you're just gonna get rid of somebody like R-Truth, not just somebody. You're gonna get rid of R-Truth just like after one. I don't know. I just think
I'd argue that if you did the same thing, if R-Truth was like, this is my last year, you could do a shirt for him in every city and it would sell
It would sell.
yes, because
because
he just
of
that. Yeah.
people value what he did on the screen, but
Hmm.
clearly the company did not. Younger and cheaper. That's the corporate mentality. But I think we can beat this horse forever, bring it back to life, beat it again. But that just shows our passion. I love pro
Mm-hmm.
wrestling. I love the people that invest their bodies, hearts, and soul in wrestling. I love watching. It's an art form to me.
Mhm.
Like, and the way I when I had you watching it and I showed you how to watch it, and you were appreciating the art form for it. This is what this is. This is passion for it, and I feel like that's not appreciated. As far as corporate getting in the way of fandom. But
Mm-hmm.
that's our TED Talk for this topic of discussion. Hopefully you all enjoy Money in the Bank. We're gonna enjoy it, even with us pouring our hearts out. It's gonna be a great day of wrestling. We got Worlds Collide coming up. But anyway, with that, DDT is out.
Bye.
You just can't get up from that.